That sucked. Hello and welcome to my review of Legends Night Raw. I'm Josh from BWR, and as you can probably tell, I wasn't the biggest fan of this show. I would give you can probably tell what the main talking point would be of this show, but I'm going to say that till the main event. Because overall, the show was about the Legends. Did they show off all the Legends? No. They shown Legends, but I won't say they shown them off. The show started with, well, before you even got the intro, you had Hulk Hogan hyping up this H phone. It's as stupid as it sounds. It says you can go on Twitter, you can go on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, but you can only do one thing when it comes to a phone call, and that's ask it a question. This was cheesy. This was WWE comedy. This was shit. That being said, we then move to Miz TV. It did not get any better. It was really corny. You had them ask for the New Day to come out. The New Day came out and they said, actually, you're our guests on New Day Talks. What? The New Day are very good on the mic, but they don't need a talk show. I mean, let's be honest, they have a lot of talk shows WWE as is. They don't need any more. This was corny. This was really, really cheesy. This was New Day cheese turned up to 1,000. We've seen better versions of the New Day. I don't think this was a great version. Teddy Long eventually comes out after Miz snaps because we have apparently Sheriff Xavier Woods. We have Chef Xavier Woods. This was really, really stupid. Miz snaps, goes, stop. Teddy Long comes out, and as Teddy comes out, Teddy goes, yo, what, I can deal with this. Miz Morrison, you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. Before he's informed by Adam Pearce that The Undertaker is actually retired. So he goes, yo, what then? You're going to have a tag match with The New Day. Holla, 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 players. We then go to the break, and as we come back, the tag match has happened. I've had time to think on it. When I first watched it, I was like, seems a bit clunky, but I didn't want to be really skeptical about it. I didn't want to be so critical that I hated everything, because there was, in ring, there was some fun parts of the show. Like, the main event was fun. This match, at points, did have some enjoyment of it. Don't get me wrong, there was some matches that were crap, but this wasn't too bad. And the New Day are always fun in the ring. And Miz and Morrison, as much as people love to hate on The Miz is a very good ring worker. He's not the most exciting, but you can always rely on him to call a spot properly and execute it quite well. And for all the people that is crapping on The Miz, can we just remember one thing? Talking smack Miz. Remember that Miz. If he, by no means do I want him as WWE champion, but say for some reason he successfully cashes in. Could you imagine talking smack Miz being the champion? Him just lashing into everyone. Him verbally just laying into Drew McIntyre. They could have some good verbal conflicts. I don't want to see Miz as champion, but I'm trying to be, let's say, play devil's advocate, to look on the other side of the coin. Now, after that, we obviously see the match happening. The match is going on, and Morrison and Miz seem to be working over Kofi for a bit. There's a lot of back and forth. Kofi then eventually does get in the hot tag for Xavier Woods, who goes on a slight bit of a rampage, hitting everyone left and right, throws Miz out of the ring, and then hits a Shining Wizard for, I considered, quite a sudden victory. I do like Xavier Woods, but I don't even think the Shining Wizard's his finisher, is it? And for him to just win like that, so it caught me off guard. I thought it was quite early in the match, but I'm not the booker, so fair enough. We then get our first of, I think it was 4 or 5 Legends segments backstage, where we had Angel Garza saying hi to Alicia Fox, trying to flirt with her, saying the only thing more beautiful than this 24/7 title that I have around my waist is you. To which he just basically says, jog on. He then finds Mickie James, Tatanka, and Sergeant Slaughter. He gives the rose to Mickie James, and she tries to play it off all cutesy, like, oh, thank you so much. To which Sergeant Slaughter just calls him a maggot and tells him to jog on as well. Which did kind of make me chuckle slightly, but still. We had our daily Randy Orton review where Randy's basically going, I hate myself. I hate myself because the Miz, my apologies, because the Fiend has changed me. As he changes everyone, he goes, he's instilled compassion within me, and I hate myself for it. So you know what? I'm going to go around and I'm going to look for some legends, and I'm going to show them why I am the legend killer, and take away any compassion that I had. This was a good segment, and it could be my own dream booking in this, but I had higher hopes for what they were going to do with this. I've seen some people say like they quite enjoyed how Randy interacted with the legends throughout the night, but if I'm being critical, do you know what? I'm just going to pull all the legend stuff into this one section, because Randy interacts with Big Show. He's trying to antagonize him, almost provoke him to hit Randy so Randy can just RKO him. A lot of these seem to be like Randy was trying to antagonize them all so he could just attack him. Why does he need to antagonize him for them to attack him, for him to RKO him? Because it didn't do anything. It didn't lead to anything. It's not like they came down and cost him his match with Jeff later on in the night. It's not like he attacked them, laid him out, made him seem even more vicious than what he normally would be. He just berated them. Randy's very good on the mic, but I don't think that this was the best use of how you were trying to get over the legend killer. And if there was one I had to point out, is the Mark Henry one. The Mark Henry one really made me feel uncomfortable. Mark was walking with a scooter on his leg. Now, I don't know if he's genuinely injured. If he isn't, then fair enough, Mark, you convinced me. You got me feeling sorry for you. But the way that Randy was berating him, saying, just go on, hobble out, get rid, I felt so uncomfortable. But with the Randy stuff out of the way, I'll go on to the second match of the night, which was AJ Styles against Elias. Again, I was ready to crap on this because it's an Elias match. I'm not going to lie and say Elias is the best in-ring worker, but neither is The Miz. Elias has great character work, and AJ can make anyone look good. Let's be honest, AJ is the best person to be in the ring if you want somebody to get on that next level of showing how effective their moves can be. There was a lot of power spots from Elias, a lot of back and forth. Elias hits a sit-out choke slam, which I thought was quite impressive. I think I believe it's a move from Jackson Riker's arsenal. Commentary really gets this over, saying like, oh, hanging around Jackson Riker has even improved Elias's in-ring work. It's not just Jackson Riker being helped by Elias's music. I like that. I thought that was a nice little touch. But eventually AJ hits the Styles Clash and gets the win for the 1-2-3. Jackson Riker, after the match, tries to attack AJ with the guitar to impressively, I will give Omas, I believe they're calling him now, sorry, kicks out the guitar before he even gets a chance to get near AJ. It was quite impressive for how quick he was for a man of his size. And Jackson Riker in this sells it like $1 million. He sells it like, how the hell could somebody have just done that? And the commentary is really doing well to put this over as well, saying like, look at the speed of the man, how big he is. And when you consider like the only people that we can compare to his size in modern day is probably Khali and Big Show, and they weren't even close to that speed, you got to give credit where it's due. We then had Charlotte making her way to the ring for a tag match later with Asuka against Peyton Royce and Lacey Evans. As Charlotte's made her way to the ring, we then cut to an ad break and cut to our first installment of the Orton, this time with Big Show and Riddle at the beginning of it. Riddle calling him, why don't you just call yourself the Big Bro? it made me chuckle. I'll give it that. It made me chuckle. I've explained as to what Randy does in all these segments, so I'm not going to spend too long on him. I think Randy executes it quite well. Big Show using that Netflix acting to good use. We then return to the ring, and then obviously the rest of the tag teams come out. Stuff like this annoys me. You're just basically having Charlotte stand there for arguably 10 minutes. I'm assuming her music is still playing whilst all this is going on. So it can get very annoying, I assume. The tag match happens, and I wouldn't say it's anything to write home about. It's not a standout tag match. But you have Lacey come. She's basically flirting with Rick the entire time. It's like, the best way I can describe it, it's like a woman after a sugar daddy. I get it, but when you look outside the WWE and think of the people themselves, we know Rick is married, we know Lacey is married and has a daughter of her own. So this just seems weird when you think about it that way. I'm sure Vince is in the back getting a kick out of it, but I didn't. I don't really get Lacey's new gimmick. I quite enjoyed, I believe she was a Marine beforehand. I quite enjoyed the Marine coming down, doing all the I'm a real woman. I enjoyed that part of Lacey, and I thought she had a lot of good moves in her arsenal. This new character of, oh, look at me, I want the limelight, I want the spotlight. I don't like it, I don't enjoy it, I don't get it. There was nothing wrong with her old gimmick, I don't understand why they had to change it. Eventually, however, the match continues, and Charlotte obviously takes, I don't know, I can't think of the word. Charlotte isn't obviously happy that somebody's flirting with her dad and keeps trying to take out Lacey. Eventually, Lacey takes her out on the ringside. And whilst this is all happening, we've got Peyton Royce and Asuka in the ring, having a bit of a back and forth. Asuka's an afterthought practically in this match when you think about it. After everything that's going on, Asuka's an afterthought. She's your Raw Women's Champion, and she's an afterthought on your show. Book your women's division better, WWE. NXT runs it perfect. What the hell? That being said, compose your back. Asuka deserves so much better than this. Give her a feud. Just give her a feud. She doesn't need to be a tag champion. You don't need to have their tag titles to elevate the Raw Tag Championship or vice versa. Book them both properly and they can elevate themselves. Or have your champion seem credible and they can, again, elevate themselves. One second. After the back and forth between Peyton and Asuka, Charlotte tags in. And we have a bit more, obviously, again. Charlotte's going for Peyton. She's pissed. She wants to go after Lacey, but Lacey won't tag in. Asuka eventually takes her out. We have I want to say a natural selection for a near fall. Going into this match, thought it was going to be a squash, but evidently it wasn't. There was a botched natural selection for a 2 count. Again, it results to spilling outside. Asuka and Lacey are out there. And as Charlotte goes to run, and I'm assuming going to hit the big boot, Rick accidentally trips her because of Lacey, distracted him, which results in Peyton landing a roll-up victory. I get it, I can see why a lot of people would be annoyed with this. Not because of Rick, but because of the most devastating move in women's wrestling, a roll-up. I'm getting to the point now where I'm sick of seeing a roll-up, like any form. Schoolboy, Colt Cabana on AEW, he did the Skyline. It's a form of roll-up, and I was like, yeah, it's nice to look at, but it's still a roll-up. Like, WWE is numbing me to any form of roll-up. Stop. But this was intriguing to see. After all, Peyton, she's a very good wrestler, she's a very good tag team wrestler. But if you wanted to put her in a tag title hunt, why not just keep the Iconics together? You can see Billie Kay floundering on SmackDown. Peyton, ideally, is floundering for what she should be doing, and Lacey deserves better than a tag match as well. Lacey, for me, should be back on SmackDown. She could do a lot better with a lot of the other wrestlers and in-ring workers there. After the match, we end up having Charlotte visibly pissed, trying to tell Rick. We basically have a rerun of when they last split up, of her telling him back off. get away from me. I don't want you anywhere near me. Coming across slightly heelish again. Maybe we could be seeing a slight heel turn in the future, but for now, this is what we got. We then have a little segment backstage between Drew, Sheamus. Sheamus is basically saying, give him an extra kick for me for denying us of our match that we wanted. They get interrupted by Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart. It was what you expect from a Legends thing. Nothing to write home about. Drew, this is the only time that I've ever visibly seen Drew not be able to sell proper WWE comedy. He can normally do it quite well, quite effective, but this came across cringy. It was like, think of the ultimate fanboy when he finally gets to enact his favourite catchphrase from his hero. I don't know if Hulk Hogan is, but yeah, it wasn't great. We then get Riddle versus Lashley in a match I was actually quite excited for. Two MMA lads, one from the UFC, one from Bellator, both with good records. I think Riddle's only not in the UFC because Dana White was pissed that he kept doing weed, and Lashley's contract ran out with Bellator, but he also had a very good record. I think he had... I could be wrong, don't quote me on this, but I think it was something like 13-3 losses. So it's a very good record. It might be 11-3. Very good record for MMA. I know I couldn't do it. So fair play to Bobby Lashley. So this had the makings to be a very good, hard-hitting, stiff match. And I wouldn't say it disappointed, to be fair. And it left you wanting that bit more. The only problem I had with this match was the finish. Now, like I've just said, they're both very good MMA fighters. I don't know if Riddle ever lost via submission. I don't know if Lashley ever lost via submission. However, in this match, at the end, Lashley finally locks in the Lashley lock. He goes to... Riddle uses the ropes to jump and distract the referee. At the same time, he taps, and Lashley lets go because obviously he's tapped, he's won, yada yada yada. The ref, however, didn't see this, and Riddle would roll him up for the 1-2-3 and leave the ring. I found that quite dumb. I enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed this match, but I can't help feel slightly shortchanged by the fact of, one, you've had Riddle tap. I know it's not on record as he's lost and he's tapped, but you've had him tap still. You've shown that he can easily lose. He just distracted the ref. So, with that being said, not a big fan of the result. I'm happy Riddle won, because I think he can do well with the United States title if you give it to him. But at the same time, thought it was quite silly to try and work around that. There's probably other ways that you could, but not for me in this one. 1 second. We then get another Orton segment. I believe this one is the Mark Henry one. I've said all I needed to say on that one. It made me feel very uncomfortable. I'm not trying to... In the snowflake era, as we call it, I'm not trying to be one of them, but I don't think maybe targeting if somebody can't walk is the best way to do it. We have... Then after, we have, I believe, Mandy Rose versus Shayna Baszler to set up... This was set up from a few weeks ago, and maybe even before Survivor Series, when Baszler took out Mandy Rose and cost her a chance at being in that women's match. Mandy starts making her way to the ring, and Shayna takes her out straight away. It's nothing special, but she takes her out and starts to attack her to get stopped by Dana Brooke. This might be the one thing, actually, that I hated more than anything on this show. And I hated this more than what came in the main event. Shayna Baszler was one of, if not the best in-ring worker maybe, when she was in NXT. Had so much star power when she came up to the main roster. Listen to her pop when she debuts at the Royal Rumble. Nearly wins the whole thing. Everyone was dying for her to win the whole thing. A year later, and her star feels like it's diminished into a little twinkle. Dana Brooke comes down, who she's already beat. Dana Brooke comes down, challenges her to a match while she's wearing normal clothes, no ring gear, wearing normal clothes, and she beats her. Shayna locks in the curve of the clutch. She rolls her up. She keeps her shoulders down for the 1, 2, 3, and pins her. Shayna keeps the curve of the clutch in because she's embarrassed, and Mandy Rose then just takes her out and they get rid. No Nia Jax trying to save a tag partner. None of this. So this was the worst booking of the show. I get you trying to do a feud because there's another tag title feud going on, so you want to keep other things moving. But this was god awful. Like, Shayna Baszler dominated the Raw Woman, which came in. Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler, I believe, hold the record with 7 women's Royal Rumble eliminations. Baszler dismantled the Elimination Chamber, one of which was your women's champion, Asuka, who she beat in seconds, I believe like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But she can't even beat Dana Brooke. She's floundering in a tag division that clearly WWE don't care about. The only reason they're giving them a feud is because Charlotte Flair's there. I've got nothing against Charlotte, and I believe the tag titles deserve something better. But to do this is just stupid. There's so many things that you could do, but they just didn't. After this, we get a Riddle giving a pep talk to Keith Lee. Lee's basically like, thanks, I appreciate it, but he's in serious mode. He's trying to get ready for his match. He's excited for this match, and he just wants to sort it, basically. I'm just going to have a look at my notes for a second because I did watch 3 hours of Raw, hence why I keep drinking some coffee, because I'm knackered. Like, 3 hours is, for this show, long. That was it. Next, we had the Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy match. Now, again, I believed that similar to Drew versus Randy at Clash of Champions, we were going to have all these legends come down and potentially cost Randy Orton his match. We didn't get any of that. What we got instead was Randy Orton just beating Jeff Hardy clean. Now, bear in mind, this is 2021. This is not 2008 when both wrestlers were potentially in their prime. This is 2021. And no matter how much they try and reenact that 2019 feud in Hell in a Cell where they use the earlobes, make it seem squeamish, it doesn't change anything for me. The match was slow, methodical. It was a Randy Orton match, and I can see why people were doing it. For a Randy match, it was enjoyable. The story going into it had potential. It was the end product. He just, at the end of the match, as you can imagine here, by the way I'm saying it, Randy wins with the end sequence was quite nice. But we've seen it before. It was the twist of fate into an RKO. Always nice to see. But Randy at the end of the match, it's not like he's one of those where he's waiting for the legends to come down. He's going backstage to find legends to attack more, or he's even attacking Jeff more. He just stares down the camera, and we cut to commercial break, and he leaves. That was it. I've seen better ways they could have booked this. It wasn't the best. Next, we have the Lucha House Party are walking backstage, ready for their match against the Hurt Business, to which they see Melina. Always good to see Melina, especially considering she was supposed to be in NXT and it didn't actually happen. So it's always good to see Melina. She has still got quite a lot to offer, to be fair. She can still go in the ring as she's shown before, so it would be intriguing to see if they did anything with her. However, Lucha House Party are out for their match against the Hurt Business of Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. The story going into this match has been that Cedric has been showing little tiny bits of dissension, like his ego maybe is getting ahead of himself. We have the Lucha House Party, who Gran Metalik is going to be challenging for the Cruiserweight Championship on NXT this week against Santos Escobar in what could be a very good match. But focusing on this match, it's Lucha House Party. Like, they are, despite what people think about them, despite the stupid name, they are a very good team. The way Gran Metalik can move on the ropes, it's seamless. Lince Dorado is a very great high flyer. And Cedric Alexander, great wrestler, and Shelton Benjamin is a great, what's the word I'm thinking of? Veteran. he's a great veteran to make sure everyone knows their spots and calling him right. MVP's on commentary during this, and he calls Cedric Alexander his little pit bull. I'll admit, that did make me chuckle when he called him his little pit bull, because all I could remember was the reports of when Vince used to think AJ was his little pit bull and bulldog, so that did make me chuckle. The match doesn't go for very long. I thought the match could maybe have had a bit longer going on into it. After everything that happened, it was looking like it might have just been starting to hit second gear. But it ultimately leads down to Cedric blind tags one too many times in. So Shelton blind tags back in as well. There's a bit of a distraction, and Lince Dorado rolls up Shelton Benjamin for the 1-2-3. After this I believe this is a bit too early to be showing that the team might be breaking up, but you have MVP basically scolding them like he's their dad, saying, "Are you embarrassed? Because I'm embarrassed." And Shelton's trying to say, like, look, he's getting ahead of himself, to which Cedric just goes, "I'm not the one who got pinned," and walks off. Fair enough. You can see Shelton wants to kick his ass, and who knows, maybe they'll do some segments. As long as Dr. Shelby's not involved, I don't care. I'm quite intrigued to see where this goes. And come the end of that, I believe, you have all the legends out saying, like, well, they don't say anything. They're like, "Hi, we're here." For the next match, which will be the main event, we have Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee in a hoss match. The super heavyweight clash that, let's be honest, everyone was excited for this match. Like, they probably were worried like maybe Miz or Sheamus would get involved, but deep down, we all saw Drew McIntyre versus Keith Lee, and we all thought, give them time. Give them time. They gave them some time. Drew made his way out, and he was there fine. Keith Lee made his way out, and that's when the legends, were all fully there, and they were like, "Yeah, you can do it." Lee goes down, he's looked like he's got a chip on his shoulder. And again, this match was left you wanting more, let's put it that way. When you consider that Keith Lee, we already know how good he can be, and Drew, he's shown last year, how good he is. It felt like they didn't even hit second gear. For what these two lads can do, it felt like they didn't even hit second gear. It was a very hard hitting match. Like there was a lot of strikes at the beginning of the match, a few power spots. Keith Lee pounces Drew into the outside, over the barricade, into the crowd. So after that, we come back from the break, and it's back in the ring, and Lee's just basically focusing on those ribs. He's throwing him around, he's digging him in the ribs, trying for the 3 count. Eventually he goes to the ring apron, and Drew follows him and powerbombs him onto the table. I hope Keith Lee's lower back is okay, because his lower back fully hit the point of the table, and I hope his back is okay. Keith Lee, all the best. I hope your back is fine. It seems to be okay because they obviously carry on the match, and there's a nice little end sequence near the end. You have Keith Lee going for the Spirit Bomb to be countered. Drew McIntyre goes for the Claymore kick, gets it blocked. You don't really see that very often. Lee then grabs him, tries to Spirit Bomb him again for Drew McIntyre to go over the top, back and forth, and hit the Claymore kick for the 1-2-3. Like I said, very good match, but it felt like it didn't even hit second gear yet. Shortly after this, almost immediately after this, you then hear Goldberg's theme going. I'm not going to try and enact it. Goldberg comes down, and straight away, my heart sank. It sank straight away. Because all I was thinking at the same time was, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, really? Goldberg basically, he says Drew has no respect for anyone on that stage, believes he's better than everyone else, none of them can lace his boots. To which Drew basically just turns around and goes, "You're full of crap." Like, anyone who knows Drew McIntyre knows that I respect each and every one of them. Goldberg then says, like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson in respect. I'm challenging you for that title at the Royal Rumble match." And Drew retorts quite calmly by going, "Look, it'd be like fighting my dad. Like, you can be what you want, but it'd be like fighting my dad. There's no point. To which, quite rushed almost it seemed, because I think they ran out of time on the show. Goldberg just shoves Drew McIntyre on the floor, and we don't see anything else because the show cuts off straight away. It was quite a fun show to watch at times, in-ring wise, but overall, it went quick, but I came out feeling deflated. So I can't give it a... If I was to rate it out of 5, I can't give it, say, a good 3 out of 5. I'd have to give it a poor. I'd have to go 2 out of 5. I've seen better Raws. I wouldn't say it's been a dog turd of a show, but it wasn't great. It just left you thinking, yeah, I can't get that back, can I? If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you agreed with me, let me know. If you disagreed with me, let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next review. Bye.